You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of April 12th, 2021, episode 187. From that, I didn't get my sunscreen city by the Salish Sea. I'm AJ Barcet.
And scrambling to finish up my taxes, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, AJ and I are having a discussion about not technology, as was last episode. We're going to talk a little bit, explore the analog side of things, something both of us are really good at. We're going to go first in a couple of instances, just like we did in the tech episode last time. Pull up a chair, recline that seat, whether it be driver or passenger in your car. Grab your favorite beverage and join us right now on the Bellingham Podcast.
Well, I just have one thing to say, my Sultan of Snark, my Major Minimalism. Chris, I'll go first. Powell, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. As we approach tax day, I'm doing just great. How about yourself?
What do you mean we're approaching tax day?
April 15th, fool.
Fool got pushed forward.
Wow. No one ran that one by me. What happened? I missed something.
Because of the pandemic and the IRS stuff. I'm pretty sure. So everybody stopped, use your favorite browser of choice and do a search. But I believe tax day got pushed a whole month forward because of everything that's gone on.
Well, Chris? I guess I'm the fool then. In that case, we filed our taxes back in like February because we like returns. But I thought just April 15th and never mind.
Bad segue.
I am doing just fine. Thank you. Enjoying this nice weather and going on some adventures here and there.
Yeah. So what's coming down the pipe for you, Chris?
Well, my beautiful wife and I have an opportunity to be able to take a little bit of travel and to go to parts unknown, kind of like those wrestlers from the 80s, like the Missing Link and from all those masked wrestlers and anything like that.
Rey Mysterio?
Rey Mysterio's from Mexico, I believe. But anyway, and he's awesome, by the way. But I think Lucha Libre, they still have some from locations. Anyway, we're not going to be in this time zone for a while because we have an opportunity to enjoy some explorations. We'll talk about it when we get back.
Okay.
But in the meantime, prepping for a little bit of vacation, some time away, and not being a tech.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness.
Hence why last episode was kind of like your last hurrah of tech.
So last episode was my attempt to try to share as much as I could before taking the time off to go into the analog world, into some beautiful areas that I don't really want to be looking at a screen.
My world. Welcome to Captain Get Out Land.
I've already been there, dude. A couple of years ago, we did the hiking series where we went on hikes.
Yes.
And yes, we talked about that.
Your mountain goat wife got you out and you had to like...
Yo.
What?
You better be...
That's a compliment.
Okay, so...
Mountain goat? Mountain goat?
Well, you mountain goat. My wife is beautiful.
Oh, yes, she is. I didn't say it. Chris's wife, you know where I'm coming from. Do not get me in trouble, Chris Powell.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
I'm not gonna get you in trouble.
All right, let's get out for a while we can. What shall we talk about going on a trek?
So if you haven't gathered, last episode and this episode is brought to you by No Notes. So
well, No Notes. We have some show notes, and for the love of the four horsemen of 80s NWA wrestling, drink. Yeah.
So this episode is the analog to your digitals, because last episode I was digitally drained with work and everything else going. Man, the last thing I wanted to do was just do more tech. But your stuff was good.
Well, thank you very much. It's just something that I love sharing. Like, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm using this. Hey, exactly. With an E, not an A. But let's talk about some other things because the sun's coming out. The temps are, whether we like it or not, warming up.
Yes.
And boy, I got to shoot straight with y'all. Whatever side of the aisle you're on, whatever point of view you have, there is a palpable, noticeable brightening of spirits gradually.
Sure.
Now that we have that V word in the available to us.
That's vaccine, folks.
I was thinking, Victrola.
Well, no, because
record players.
Well, also virus, which is not a good word.
No,
right
it's
now. So
not.
that's what I was saying. Vaccine.
But a couple months ago, it was Valentine's Day.
Sure.
But the V word in this case is vaccines. Yeah. Anyway, so just really happy about that. Is people get stuck.
Jabbed, I believe, is the word that's being thrown about. Chris?
Potato, stuck, jabbed. Let's just get all vaccinated. They want to get out. They want to be able to enjoy something and maybe go to a place where you don't have to wear that wonderful protective mask.
Yes. But in all cases and purposes, like as Captain Get Out, I will say, like, do carry a mask with you, whatever your vaccination status may or may not be.
Yeah, even if you are getting your 2 shots in and you're all good to go.
There's the one, the Johnson & Johnson's a one jab wonder.
That's totally cool. If you are vaccinated.
Yeah.
Wear the mask.
Yeah.
We're not out of this yet.
But no, so in this case, I've got a couple of treks that around Bellingham, the 98225, 6, 7, sing along if you know your words, as well as some other gear. I've been doing a gear up because this summer I'd mentioned that I've got a big trek kind of coming together with a hiking buddy of mine.
Yes.
And shout out to Dylan. Actually, we might get him on the show someday.
Cool. I look forward to that. And if he still doesn't go on that trek with you, I'm going to roast him.
He will.
I don't even know him, but I'm going to roast him.
Long time hiking buddy.
I may not roast him. I don't know him. I got to get to know someone.
Fun fact.
Yes.
This is a guy that, I mean, the season of all seasons that was like bad mojo for me on mountains. I had 2 bad experiences on 2 mountains in the same season, with Mother Nature reminding me that she does not care about us, nor does the mountain, which is where that philosophy came from.
Of course.
I was with my buddy, Dylan. And so like, it's going to happen this season.
Well, maybe if all plans come according to plan.
Yes.
From the Department of Redundancy Department, we can have both of y'all on the show to talk about the trek. That's what I want.
More to come on that.
Yes.
Have I built that up enough, Chris? Do you think?
What the heck are we talking about? Where's your trek?
Okay, so the first trek does not need a lot of gear, and it's here in Bellingham. Chris Powell, did you know that there's a shipwreck here in Bellingham?
My life is a shipwreck, baby. I think, wasn't that a Britney Spears song? No, I was not aware that there was a shipwreck going on. Where is this?
So where are we, Chris?
Well, as of the time of this recording, we are currently at the Tom Glen Common at the Bellwether, Hotel Bellwether, if you will, with a lot of loud muffler cars going past us, overlooking the beautiful Bellingham Bay, with sunshine and light and not looking at a computer screen. It's a beautiful thing.
So if we look at the bay, and if you were to head towards Locust Beach off of Marine Drive, so if you head on, what is that, north from here?
Yes, we'll head north on Eldridge Street.
Yes. If you were to head due north of here, there is, so a lot of people know about Marine Park and Waypoint Park and stuff. Well, if you keep heading north off of Marine Drive, there is Locust Beach. I've been told by many university students in this town that Locust Beach is kind of a hopping in place towards peak summer. But if you head out there, it's a small beach that adjoins to like Zwanich. If you're used to Zwanich Point, that beach goes and abuts kind of like this walkway thing that's, I think, attached to the old railroad system.
Sure.
On the other side of that trestle is Locust Beach. Well, if you hike about 1.5 miles or so, you will find a shipwreck known as the Osprey.
Is this the shipwreck that One-Eyed Willie had at the end of the Goonies movie?
I wish. It's not that cool.
Oh, okay.
But it is a larger vessel, and it's kind of got an interesting history. I've got a link actually in the show notes to Western Washington University's Clipsun magazine, which is part of their journalism department. Yep. And it talks about how the boat and the owner and why it is washed up against our shore, and it's been here for several years. Now, unfortunately, when I got out there, the taggers of our fine community have graffitied it up. To the point where even the stern that's the rear of the ship, right? Stern of the ship.
Bow is up front, stern is in the back, port is to the left, starboard is to the right.
Yes.
Giddy up, Buttercup. I'm smart. SMRT smart.
You can't even see on the stern of the ship it saying Osprey anymore. But if you want to know the history of it, I've got a link in the show notes. And it's just an easy hike. What's cool is if you got a little, I brought my little with me, and to walk on the beach and to beach comb and stuff. There's also like some people have strung up like old fishing nets as hammocks and stuff in some parts of it. So it's like, I jokingly called it the Pirate Grotto.
Oh yes,
dude, my 4.5-year-old was giddy. He thought this was like this is where Captain Kipper set sail. Like, he had this whole imaginary thing, and then you come up against a washed up shipwreck. Next thing out of his mouth was, maybe there's treasure.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy, maybe there is. Just don't go in there. Like,
I gotta go in there. They got all kinds of toys in there.
Yeah, right. No, but no, it's a fun hike, and really not very strenuous as long as you can walk on a beach and there's a bit of a hill to get down to it. It's good. But it's something that if we had to do another Urban Hikers Grand Tour, this is the update of that series in one episode or less. So that's a new one that I stumbled upon here in Bellingham. Another one I want to throw out is for those that are wanting to get into hiking, and as the season opens up and stuff, the Oyster Dome, of course, is like the quintessential thou shalt must do if you're a Bellinghamster. However, recently I had somebody with me who's not in the best shape that they wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to start the Oyster Dome, you have a whole bunch of switchbacks you got to get through, right? So I have a little tip for people. If you're trying to, and it's good to if you have littles, this is the route that I took with my little to get to the Oyster Dome. If you don't want to do switchbacks on the Oyster Dome, there's the Samish Overlook, which if you're not familiar with it, so you have Blanchard Mountain, which is the mountain that you're going across to get over to the Oyster Dome. And off of Blanchard, there is looking over the Skagit, I guess the Skagit Flats, not really the valley yet, but that's where all of the hang gliders and parasailers jump off the mountain. Right. That's the Samish Overlook. And so from there, you can park up there. It's a state park, so you have to have a Discover Pass. And there's a ton of hiking up there. There's a long trek from there to go to Raptor Ridge, which is over towards like the Arroyo Park side. I mean, that's a fairly long hike if you're going to do that one. But from there, you can also get on the, I think that's part of the PNT, the Pacific Northwest Trail system that will take you over to Oyster Dome.
So for those listening to us who may not be familiar with the Oyster Dome or thinking that's something that you put crackers in when you eat for soup, how would you describe the Oyster Dome visually?
The Oyster Dome is, so the hike itself is kind of unique because every time, and I've been up several times in my over a decade of being here in Bellingham, and because of all of the washouts that poor mountain gets, the trail is never the same ever I go up. The first route that I took is no longer there because there was a huge washout that happened about 9 years ago, and it took out the route that I took. So when I took it the next time, we had to kind of go around the longer way as opposed to scrambling up a bunch of debris. So the first part of it is you start on Chuckanut typically if you want to do the switchbacks. If you don't, you can start at the Samish Overlook and cut off on the PNT trail, and then you ascend through a whole bunch of woods. It's a forest. So this is part of the Chuckanut Mountain or the Chuckanut Drive and the mountain above Chuckanut. So you're nothing but trees up until you get to I call it the root base, where you have a little bit of a hill. And you're still in the forest, but the forest starts to dip out because you're getting to the crest of the mountain, or the dome, I should say, not the actual mountain. And a whole bunch of exposed roots greet your feet. So be sure that you pick up your toes. Otherwise, you'll be like my 3-year-old when he ascended and nosedive, which is never fun.
Not cool.
And then when you get to the top, you're sitting on top of a big chunk of, I'm guessing it's granite. Big chunk of rock, and you have nothing but the San Juan Islands in front of you and the bay.
That's the payoff.
Yes.
And when one looks at the San Juan Islands, I mean, you can do a search for this on the web to get some majestic pictures. Breathtaking is an overused idiom in describing beautiful scenery. We live in an area that is chock full. I mean, the punch card doesn't even cover the amount of beautiful places we have. The Oyster Dome is work. Make no mistake.
It is.
Especially if you aren't lithe and agile as my podcast buddy AJ is. If you're a double XL kind of person like me, you're going to be huffing and puffing.
But you can do it. And that's the reason why I wanted to throw this one in, because when we did the Urban Hikers Grand Tour, we didn't really cover the Oyster Dome.
Right.
Because it's a little bit of work. But the reason why I want to bring it in is it is a confidence booster.
I just had something pop into my head.
Okay.
I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to, at least, if we say it, then it shall be.
Okay.
Sometime this summer, you and I are going to take our mobile setup, and we're going to record an episode at the top of the Oyster Dome.
Done.
Because when you talk about people, having a little bit of health issues and of putting on the pounds, boy howdy, when I get a chance to get back into my fighting weight.
Yep.
I'm going to look for this stuff, and I'm going to be sweating and panting and
you'll be fine,
out of breath, and then it'll be like, but it's beautiful.
Yep.
And what are we talking about? Technology?
No, not
Anyway,
from the top of the oyster dome. I won't. No, don't do that.
I think we can dedicate a show to that one.
I dig it. Okay, so that's my two hikes for here in the Bellingham area, and like I said, the reason why I wanted to do this to kind of frame this episode is that we are still in the middle of a pandemic, and maybe you can't travel or you're uncomfortable doing it or whatever. So do it by either your 2 feet or 4 wheels, and that's kind of where I'm going. And recently, I've had a lot of my friends reach out. That apparently, there's a term, the COVID-19, as in the 19 pounds you've put on since COVID.
Dude, yeah, no, we'll talk about that one later. I'm just there with them.
So a lot of my friends have asked. It's like, hey, do you mind taking me out on a hike? You know, you can kick my butt, but like, you know, make it reasonable. And I take them to the Oyster Dome the same route that I just said by cutting off the switchbacks.
Sure.
You still have to do an ascent, but you know, it builds. I mean, coming back off that mountain, you get a good confidence boost. It's really great.
One other thing that really boosts my confidence is when I turn the radio station dial and I happen to land on 102.3 FM.
Ah, yes, that community-powered and community-driven radio station, also streaming at kmre.org.
That's right. They air our episodes Saturdays at 3 p.m. And as you're probably listening to this in your car or in the radio or streaming or whatever like that, we're happy that you're tuning into KMRE, and then we're happy that you're also listening to our show. What else you got, Captain Get Out?
So I got one other trek I'm going to throw in here, and that is an ascent that I did with my 4.5-year-old. We went up to Pine and Cedar Lake, which okay. So Pine and Cedar Lake, if you're not familiar, is again in the same area that I just said about Chuckanut and the Oyster Dome, but it's on the other side. And so Pine and Cedar Lake is, I believe you would say, is no joke. I mean, there's a pretty good ascent.
It's a hike. Yeah.
I believe your wife and you did that.
We did that and got a lovely picture, and I enjoyed the memory of it, but I was also sweating my derriere off.
Yes.
Hi, France.
So I'm doing this, if you haven't figured, these 3 hikes are in level of intensity. So the first one is getting to Locust Beach, very low intensity. Moderate intensity would be the Oyster Dome.
Oyster Dome's moderate, huh?
I would say moderate. If you do the Sandwich Overlook
off,
like I said.
Fair enough. But I mean, just, your mileage may vary, and don't go charging up something and blame us that it was a little bit more. I mean, AJ's awesome at this. I'm not. So
Oyster Dome, I think round trip is like 4 miles. Pine and Cedar Lake to the Overlook is a little over 5.
Yeah.
So you have just a longer haul, and you have a steeper ascent on Pine and Cedar. But so we went up, and what I didn't realize when we got up there, so we summited the Overlook and then went back down because we had to beat a rainstorm. But there's camping up there. I believe it's city owned. It's not state land. It's actually city or county land.
Okay.
But there are slots up there, and so I just wanted to throw that out. If you're in the Bellingham area, and listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM, and you're looking for a local-ish but not Larrabee State Park,
a traditional, untraditional
camping excursion, you might look up there. I don't have any other further details, but I just wanted to throw it out as if somebody's going, wait, you can camp up there? Yes.
There's a good shot. I mean, do your web searching because little by little, places this is getting warmed up, and people are going to want to go out and get camp and get your reservations in.
So on the flip side of it, if you're trying to get out of the Bellingham area, so this next segment is kind of the gear. So I've been re-gearing a lot of things because I put miles on my stuff, Chris.
Oh yes.
So one of the things I have a Toyota Tacoma. And it's got a 6-foot bed. It's not anything super fancy. It's not like the 4x4 off-road TRD Extremo Palooza Pro Edition. Nothing. It's just a standard Toyota Tacoma that has seen a lot of mountain time. One of the things I usually do whenever we go trekking is I usually just throw a tent in the back of the truck, and then I pitch tent wherever we go. Well, my wife and I like our creature comforts as we're getting older in life. Chris, I believe you had pointed that out at some point in my life. I'll be like, I like my creature comforts. So I got a canopy for my truck.
A canopy.
So
okay.
those tops that you put on the back of a truck.
Sure.
But instead of going hard shell, I went with a soft shell. And I had to show you a picture. I went with a company called Soft Topper out of Colorado.
Yep. Well, it looks like you really got a hard quality, lightweight cover for your gear. and would probably keep you toasty warm, insulated at night.
Yeah. So if you're listening, you're going, they make soft tops for a truck. This is basically a rag top for the truck bed. So if you know the same material of canvas that's used on, say, a Jeep.
Oh, I know canvas, but in this case, it's the Jeep. Yeah, the soft shell.
Yeah. Sailcloth type of fabric. So there's two companies out of Colorado, Best Top, which is the actual major line that owns this other company called Soft Topper. What's cool about Soft Topper is it's made in America company. So this is actually made and manufactured right there in Colorado. And basically you can get it to fit any truck. It doesn't have to be a Tacoma or Toyota or anything like that. It can be, I think they do everything from like a Bronco forward. And what's great about it is, like you said, they're lightweight. It collapses. So I could get my bed in my truck back if I need to, which, if you ask my wife, is a necessity because I go and pick up things like tables from the sides of roads.
There you go.
Hi, honey. And, but what's great is I don't have to set up a tent. It's just back there.
Yeah.
And when I don't need it, you just fold it up and take it out of the bed of your truck. So if you're looking for also it's 1/3 of the price of a hard shell.
That matters too.
Traditionally speaking, depending on your rig. So if you don't want to go with Lear or Snug Top or anything like that, because they are pricey. This is a lightweight and more cost-effective way to get shelter and sleep in the bed of your truck. So I'm looking forward to doing that over the summer.
So I really like the idea of, one, saving money as you're accessorizing your vehicle, and also I've never heard of the soft top. When you first told me about it, I'm like, how'd you find out about that?
Yeah, so most people would do like a search, right? Well, you don't know what to search. You don't know what you're looking for. So
be careful if you're searching for soft truck liner. Yeah, you never know what you get.
Mileage will vary, right? So I mean, whether it's watches or trucks, like I'm a forum person. Like I don't mind going up on the forum, and either contributing or just asking like, hey, I'm new. I'm trying to find out something. Can anybody help? And there's one forum in particular that's been really great, TacomaWorld.com, because I own a Toyota Tacoma.
Oh, not like the town.
No,
okay,
no,
gotcha.
Toyota Tacoma.
Being from Bellingham.
Yes. In Washington, Tacoma is kind of, I know.
But this is for the truck.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So the Tacoma World, the reason why I throw this out is regardless of if you're an outdoor enthusiast and you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle and you're like, man, what should I get? Or what have other people tried? Go hunt the forums, because you'll find out, kind of like our show, like people have already gone first and be like, oh yeah, avoid this, or oh, if you do this mod, be sure you don't do this because this is what I learned in it. It's just a way to save time and money and heartache,
Sounds good.
on your rig. So I just want to throw that as a resource, whether you're a Tacoma owner or not.
So what are you taking with you? I mean, aren't you updating your gear on these hikes? You've been indoors in quarantine for such a long time.
Yeah. So
it's time for some new swag.
Oh, dude, there's some swagging to be had. So I've got a pair of Morel Moab 2s, which are my new hiking boot. They're actually, I'm breaking them in as we record this podcast.
Awesome.
They're a full leather boot. And they're kind of a mid top as opposed to.
Oh, I know Morels. Those are good stuff,
dude. These ones are pretty awesome. What's cool about these Morels, and if the reason why I want to put this on the show is if you're like me and you like a very rugged boot that's breathable but also waterproof, these are a full leather boot, but have a membrane inside to keep your feet dry if you go through streams, but it has some voodoo in it that keeps that's a very technical term. That allows your feet to breathe, unlike some former leather boots I had in my past. So far I like them. The one thing I hate about boots is breaking them in.
Oh yeah.
Because pro tip, friend of mine did this once with me. They bought brand new boots and they're excited because they wanted to come out hiking with me. Awesome, love it. And they wore brand new boots on a hike. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Their feet were torn up. You want to break them in before you do your trek. So just wear them about or whatever. That's what I always recommend. So Captain Minimalism, I got to say, you and I like a good cup of coffee.
Always.
So I got a new coffee apparatus that I've been holding off on talking about on the show.
Okay.
I got an AeroPress.
I dabbled in that back a number of years ago. What are your... what do you think of the AeroPress?
And that is why I've been holding off on the show, because this machine should not make good coffee. It shouldn't.
That's a great tagline.
I'm serious.
The AeroPress. This should not make good coffee. But it does.
It is it's right. It is literally, if you don't know what an AeroPress is, you can go and search for it. But here's the thing. It's basically a syringe. That's all it is for coffee. You put your coffee grounds in, you pour water, you put a filter, and then you plunge it down like you're putting cough syrup in the back of your throat. That is the whole mechanism of this coffee maker.
You use a syringe for cough syrup?
Well, okay. If you have a little kid.
Yes. Okay. I was just like,
I don't.
All right, fine.
I'm just saying if you have a little kid, you know what I'm talking about. The little Hagen syringe you got to put. Okay.
I gotcha.
So
just had to make sure you were knowing who you were talking there.
So for the last 3 or so months, I've been using this AeroPress, and it's replaced my normal coffee maker in the morning.
The Bialetti?
Oh, yes, the Bialetti. It's replaced the Bialetti, not the Chimera. That's for espresso. That's different. Yeah. And also my drip machine as well.
How about that?
It shouldn't work, but it really does. It makes a really tasty cup of coffy.
Hey, AeroPress Company, don't hire AJ as your marketing director.
Sorry, Alan. So if you want a coffee snob's opinion of it, it's actually really good. I don't do anything. I don't have like the mesh filters or anything. I just have the stock filters that came with it. And I use Tony's Coffee. Shout out to Fairhaven's Tony's Coffee. And I do the inversion method where you do it with the plunger down as opposed to up. So it brews a little bit longer as opposed to it kind of dripping into the cup.
That's how they do
first.
it in the southern hemisphere.
Yes, exactly. Upside down land.
There you go.
And it's just, especially if you have an induction top, it's a super fast way to make coffee. It makes faster than a normal, Mr. Drip.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to, brewing that in the backcountry. Speaking of backcountry, obviously I'm going to have to bag. I have to put it in a bag. So my beloved Pack Safe, that has, shout out to Zulu Time Podcast, that has their patch on it.
Oh, yes.
For the time being, is an 18-liter bag. And my kiddo is getting bigger. So I'm looking at getting a little bit bigger bag for day treks, because 18 liters for me and a very little is one thing. He's getting too big, man. Sure. I need to get something a little bit bigger. So I'm looking at Osprey. Osprey has a couple of different bags. Their Scarab 30 is something that I'm looking at. And then I also got Cotopaxi. The Alpha 42 that I've been coveting after. They finally dropped it in a green color.
Yes.
And so that's going to be my normal, like, throw my clothes, and that'll also be like my carry-on for when I can go flying and stuff.
Sounds good.
But so that's all I've got for my Captain Get Out stuff. Do you want to do quality assurance?
I think this would be an absolutely appropriate time to talk about how all these quality assurance are.
These quality assurance are picked for you by AJ Barcet and Chris Powell for your quality assurance.
That's right. So you thought I can get away in an episode without talking about technology.
That's okay. My quality assurance is tech anyway, too. Okay. What's yours?
All right. So despite what I think about the tube, there is a channel on there that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I've subscribed to, and
you smashed that bell.
Oh man, I hate that term.
Why did they always
smash the subscription?
No.
Hey guys, want to talk about that? There is a channel that doesn't do any of that. It's called Techlore, Techlore, and the website is techlore.tech.
Not by Aaron Mahnke.
No, that's a different one. But there's a fellow named Henry, and Harry's a fine young chap. We got to get him a razor, though. He's got the stubble thing going on. Love you, Henry. Love to have you on the show. And I like what you're doing. There is a series, if you look at the playlists in YouTube or go to the website, called Go Incognito. Now, don't think this is going to be James Bond spy stuff that's going to take a whole lot of stuff. This is the course. If I had opportunities to devote time and knowledge to learn how to do video editing, this is the stuff I would be doing. Okay. So he goes through 5 or 6 different sections of how to approach your online life, your computer life from a secure standpoint, a private standpoint. I totally give my blessing to all of these videos that Henry has done in Techlore. Go Incognito. We got a link to it in the show notes. And for the love of all paranoid OPSEC people in the world, drink. This is something that I look through when I have a few free minutes, and I'm learning something as well because there's always some new information. That is high quality technology instruction. AJ.
So you actually set me up for mine. It has nothing to do. It's counterintelligence to your counterintelligence.
What are you talking about? We talked off the mic about this.
So Relive is my pick for quality assurance. And actually, I'm going to give a shout out to a listener and my best friend of many, many decades, Dan at Rising Sun Sailor on Instagram.
Indeed.
So a couple years back, we went up on to Winchester Mountain, and he wanted to try out this new app that he stumbled on called Relive. And he basically said it was going to chart our trek through the mountain. I'm like, well, cool. Like, there's plenty of apps that do that. But what he failed to not tell me about is how Relive does it. So if you've got the Apple Watch or Garmin or whatever fitness tracker, or even your phone, as long as it has GPX data, what Relive does is it takes the GPX or the GPS exchange data that all GPSs pretty much have and remaps it into this video where it'll show you like your velocity, highest altitude and stuff, and makes a video with up to 10 photos on the free account, or you can pay for the premium and have unlimited everything. But it plots your route on a map in a video so you can share it. And that way, you can say, like, when I summited this Goat Mountain, you can see the route that one takes. It's really cool.
You shared a walking, hiking route that you did with me, and you took little pictures along the way as like little checkpoints.
Yep.
And I got to say, the first thing that occurred into my mind was a pub crawl.
Yeah.
If you had some type of progressive path that y'all are taking, that would be a great thing. No, we do not condone excessive drinking on the Bellingham podcast. But if you were to talk about your first date with that special someone, hello, guys and gals, to launch Relive, and then we went here and took a picture, and such, and you did that, and a year later, you shared that with them, like, this was our first date. Yeah. Boy, howdy, is that a really clever, unique, meaningful moment captured in time.
No, totally. And in education, I've written about it on my blog about implications of how you can use it in educational settings. Like there's a lot that can be done about it, and it's just a simple premise to a lot of complex things. Like if you don't do video stuff and you don't know how to do mapping, it does it all for you. And if you want to set to your own music, you can do that. You don't have to do any, Darren level of editing, right? Like it's a really neat app, and free is the barrier to entry with a freemium model.
Free as a fork?
Free as a fork.
Indeed. I think we should probably stick a free fork in this show.
That wraps up for this free fork edition of the Bellingham Podcast.
Hey, now, keep it clean.
I enunciate and...
Wrap it up, dude.
Thank you for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us wherever you like to get your podcast. You're going to throw me off. If you're in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
They are community powered and streaming all over the darn place at kmre.org.
And on that note, I'm AJ Barsay.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks once again for joining us on the Bellingham Podcast. Hey, did you know something?
What?
Relive is eviler spelled backwards.
How do you do that?
How? Looking at the show notes while you were talking about it.
How?
And my mind wandered.